All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you had a wonderful day. We have Jerome Powell tomorrow, 30 minutes after the bell, and it's going to be very important. But now for this video, we need to answer the question, why does this stock market keep going up? So I have a couple of things. I have 7 dates that we need to start with. I have $20,000 cash, a Make Volatility Great Again sweater, and then I have a sword. So that's how deep we're going to be getting into all of this. I don't know what it all means, but I'm sure you're going to find out. So like the video, and if you don't know, youtube.com/the stock market, we will be streaming Powell live tomorrow and seeing what happens with the market, and maybe he drops a bomb on all of us. But now let's get into why the market is going up. There was a lot of things this year that have not happened that should have happened, and there was a lot of things that happened that people weren't expecting. I think reason number one, or thing number one, is probably the fact that the S&P is up 20% from its lows. This is a very big deal, but when did this all happen? Was it just one easy answer? Did the market make up its mind and never second guess itself? No. If you go back and see what happened this year, this ride to this high and what we're getting into tomorrow, it wasn't as smooth as expected. So the 7 dates, what I want to go over, it has to do with Jerome Powell tomorrow. Those 7 dates I'm talking about now are the 7 dates that Jerome Powell has spoken. And when you go back and look over it and see what has happened this year, it says something very specific about Powell that I'm going to share with you. Here, we'll just get to it. The first date, or the first two, January 10th, right around here, you can see this little gap up, and then February 1st, that is the first topping out of the market this year. These 2 dates, you can notice that is one, the market slowed down on February 1st, but January 10th, it is as if this is where the market started to go crazy, and it did. What happened on this day on January 10th that helped sustain the market, get above its little level in October and December, and then ultimately break out? Well, that was your first Jerome Powell speech of the year. On January 10th, he came out and he was talking, and this was actually expected to be the most hyped Powell the first time we heard from him all year. Everybody was expecting him to say a lot of stuff, and then he really didn't. Essentially, what happened on January 10th is that Powell was bullish because he did not sound bearish. That's honestly even the setup you got from the last Fed meeting, but that was January 10th. February 1st, this was the FOMC, and then what started happening after that FOMC, this little decline, we had a lot of data, and then we had the SVB crisis, but now this is where it gets interesting, because after February 1st, there is another date on February 7th. What happened on February 7th? There was a very strong non-farms payroll just the day before or the same day, and then Powell came on, he had an economic club meeting, and he was talking about how the jobs were really strong, but then again, Powell did not say anything bearish. So hang with me, because I'm just giving you the dates and what happened. We haven't even gone to the main conclusion related to Powell and why the market keeps going up. But that was February 7th. Then we're going to fast forward a little bit. This was during the whole SVB thing, and you could see the market was kind of tweaking out a little bit. But March 8th, this is related to tomorrow now. This was Powell before the House Financial Services Committee. That's what we're going to be getting tomorrow. Powell speaks before Congress, and they grill him with a bunch of questions. Last time that happened this year, it was in the middle of SVB. We were literally dropping and popping right before that event, and then we proceeded to drop, and then a couple of days later, March 22nd, right around here, this was the FOMC meeting just a couple of weeks after, and then Jerome Powell came in, and he was talking about interest rates and all of that. Remember the language shift and getting ready for pause? That was the meeting that set up into that May meeting where everybody started to feel very good, but ultimately, this was just people feeling good off of SVB in the banking system, not disturbing anything, and if anything, leading to a more bullish Fed. But that was March 22nd, and even just just going back to March 8th here. Once again, this was Powell before the House Financial Services Committee, but you'll notice the day that the Fed meeting came out, it was around the same exact price. So these are all the different events that happened. And then finally in April, you did not hear from Jerome Powell, and the next day is May 3rd. This was that little shift in language that set us up for ultimately the pause that we got on June 14th, and that was the last time that you have seen Powell. So what I want you to look at with all of these dates, it's very simple and it will explain the conclusion, but every time Powell has spoken this year, the markets have borderline gone up. The only time where they didn't, it was paired up with the data here early in March and then during SVB, but every other speech, every other FOMC meeting, Jerome Powell has been dovish. So to answer your question, why has the stock market been going up and why does it keep going up and why won't it go down? The easy answer I could give you today is that Jerome Powell has shifted into a dove. This has been the narrative that has been going around recently, even coming into tomorrow now. This is where today's video is very practical, even though we're expecting to hear from a lot of Fed speakers, and the last Fed meeting had a very hawkish dot plot. Everybody is saying that when Powell opens up his mouth, based on the last couple of times, he has benefited the markets and he is starting to be bullish. The crazy part about all of this is that if you remember last year, every time Powell would speak in 2022, the markets would go down. This year, it has gone positive, and now people are starting to believe that Powell is good for the markets. Another big part of the logic why the stock market has been going up. You may have had this question, how in the world do stocks like Nvidia keep rising and why don't they go down? Aren't the price to earnings so expensive? Isn't this market expensive? Why and who is buying this? A big reason and narrative going around is simply it has nothing to do with valuations and all has to do with the Fed and liquidity. The fact that the Fed stepped in with the banking crisis, the BTFP, they were all willing to step in, and throughout all of this, through rate hiking, SVB bank failures, they have always showed that they're going to be there. This has led a lot of investors to believe that a lot of this rally is all driven by QE or the perception of QE always being there versus anything else. So I think all of this is interesting. The simple answer and what I am trying to tell you coming into tomorrow, maybe one, don't try to short Powell. We'll see what happens. Maybe we need bigger data, or you need to see a Jerome Powell that is as hawkish as last year. Otherwise, Jerome Powell lately, a lot of people have been focusing on him. He's had some big effects, and maybe that's why I got the sword, because this is a new battle, and we have a new Jerome Powell. The whole year of 2023, he has not been bearish or hawkish once, and this little bubble right here, again, every single sign and clue of this year, you have got to witness throughout every single one of the dates. So watch out for tomorrow. We're going to watch how it all plays out. That is my thesis, is that Jerome will be bullish. I'm thinking that will factor into tomorrow. Essentially, he should calm the markets down or should not give anything scary, but if he does come in hawkish, that will be the shift here middle of the year, and then we'll have to rip up all the playbooks and then go from there. So Chad, that is everything as far as any plays coming into tomorrow. All I did was shorten a video. I did say my prayer, so don't crucify me. 50 share shorts, 438. Gonna look to flip it. I even made a flip on the video earlier in the day. Then I got 100 shares at AAP. I think there was like an activist report or something. Oh yeah, and that's the long term. We added Disney too, by the way, to the long term. I'm very, very excited about that one. But I flipped out the NVIDIA shares, 100 shares at AAP. Again, it was people talking about activists getting involved. Then NVEE, they got rumors or news that they're exploring a sale. Top ticked it a little bit, but it still held up. And then I grabbed 200 shares of JD. China stocks got clobbered. I said yesterday they had some good news. Thought we would get a position. But other than that, I'm going to wait to see if Powell says anything. Depending on what he says, I want to see how his bullishness combats any of the bond market moves. Other than that, just playing the general market, waiting for the bonds to break out or give us some sort of clue. And before you know it, like I said, earnings and then more Powell is right around the corner. So I hope you're ready. But That is your watch list, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure hydrate healthy, ready to go. Make sure post your watch list. Make sure we see you there in the morning. I need the armor on. I need the helmet shining. I need you to remember, Chad, there has been things in life that have humbled you. Let that be a guiding lesson. We could all be wrong and we could all be very right, but it's beautiful how it all comes together to form something that is called experience. So use what life has given you, Chad. Stay in the game. Keep the energy up because your attitude determines it all. And get that long term. Save that 10%. But it's game time. We have Powell and he changed on us. He changed on us, bro. Powell, I don't even like the money anymore, man. This inflation money don't even feel it's a different Powell. This sweater, man, a different with Powell. Okay, I'm gonna go. This one was good. That was crazy. You're gonna think I'm going insane. Sometimes they think I'm going insane. Am I going? Is it the market? I got the long term. Okay, Horde.